systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Someone already right away in chat. On a Wednesday, not expecting this. Hey, we did mention it a little at the end of the show last week. I will be headed to Vegas tomorrow, bright and early. I will be MIA for the most parts. And yeah, so we're doing our show this morning on a Wednesday afternoon. 14 fights right now, Big Marley. Hey, 14 fights is very good. Appealing to the ears for DFS. Biggest favorite, minus 400. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad at all. 14 fights, biggest favorite, minus 400. I'm expecting a good DFS card. Ownership, definitely very tough. But you did do ownership. We're not having it on the site. Everything will be up Friday as usual. But when we go fight by fight, I'll say what our early ownership is, and that'll definitely be subject to change and will change throughout the week, though. But excited to talk some fights with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Ben, NP, Michael, Gage in here. Pickens is Michael. Let's go back to back. He had an awesome week last week in the MMA streets, and I do love this comment. Your game theory and ownership has really upped my game. If I like the fighter, I would give him way too much love. I mean, I'll raise my hand, and that was a problem for me earlier as well in the MMA game because, I mean, it's the most variant sport out there. OSP wins as a plus 500 dog. Just because you think something's going to happen doesn't mean it will. Game theory, ownership, when you win, how much do you win is how I've converted besides making a pick. Jamal Emmers, he's going to win my first round knockout in a minute and a half. I'm going all in on him. That's just not how I play DFS anymore. So I do like those words, Michael Peterson. That is what we try to do on this show. Game theory, leverage, when you win all the cheese instead of just picking. This guy's going to win. Let's just go with that. So a little rant, little spiel right there. Awesome week for Pickens in the MMA streets last week. Throw it to you, Big Marley. How are you doing on this fine Wednesday morning / afternoon for you?
Good. I'm feeling a little behind with it being 2 days early, but I got a good, rough draft of the card in my head. Haven't tried building lineups yet, but I feel like the 9K range is all really similar this week. But I like them all. So it's a week where I think anything goes. Tough card, though, so I'm looking forward to talking it out with you as well.
Absolutely. And before we get into it, we always ask, like button helps us out a ton. Obviously, a lot watching on playback. Do us a favor, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're on Twitter or you're on X, whatever you want to call it, head over to the Ship It Nation Twitter. We're 3 followers away, 3 from 5,000 followers. And we're giving away an annual membership worth $599. Our man Mark is giving it away. He won $50K in the showdown. I think it was like first, second, third, an absolute insane showdown. If you go to our Twitter, it was posted a couple days ago. You can see that tweet. You got to like it, repost it. Everything will be on there. 3 more followers, get us to 5,000 on Twitter. We will be giving away an annual membership. Shout out to Mark for that. If you want to join us at the Nation, I will say, I'll pull this one up quick. MLB 15. A lot of people ask for just an MLB only product. I'm not going to talk about it really much here because y'all watching it probably want MMA, ownership, projections, all of our premium content if you're watching this show. So if you do just want MLB only, we do have it weekly, monthly, 6-month, and annual packages. I mean, come on. It comes out to $1 a day if you use MLB 15 for the monthly package if you want to do that. Again, most of you probably want the MMA package. Hoop 15 is also available. Gets you 15% off your packages, your monthly, your 6-month, your annual for all the sports. NASCAR, MLB will still be included. NBA still got a lot of time going for the postseason, the playoffs. We'll have you covered. A lot will be Discord, premium, some quick hit videos as well. PGA, of course, going on. Locks tomorrow. Head over to the Nation. Hoop 15 gets you 15% off all the sports. MLB 15 if you just want MLB only to check that out. Yeah, broad slate overview. Ownership's going to be spread out. Right now, we have nobody above 50%. Eric Blanchfield, we have as the highest owned at 49. I think it's clear where you'll get different in the upper tier. Bill Algeo, Jamal Emmers, I think clearly will be the lowest owned there. Dogs, I think there's some clear dogs. Obviously, the main event dog, Furo, is going to be popular there. Outside of that, though, I think relatively spread out when we're getting into the lower tier stuff. Fights people will target. The Ibo Aslan fight, Turkali fight right in the mid-tier will be popular. I think Vicente Luque. Buckley gets a little bit of ownership as well. Of course, the main events. Yeah, 14 fights. I think people are going to try and get one of these studs up top or two of these studs, the Ruziboevs, the Silvas, Malcoons, Blanchfields of the world. Pick a fight or two in the mid-tier and then just try and mix and match their dogs is how I see this card. Any broad slate overview before we go fight by fight?
Now it sounds like you just nailed it, to be honest. That's what I was thinking in my head.
Cool. Sorry, I was looking. Let's do it, man. Let's go bottom to top. I will say, because we did Tapology change the order on me, we definitely got to work a lot earlier this week. All my write-ups are already done. Again, they're not going to be on the site. Tapology has been messing around with the order. I'm just going to go fight odds bottom to top on this one. So the first fight of the night is going to be different than when I do post my slate plan. Second biggest favorite on the card, Colin Laughlin taking on Angel Pacheco. Minus 350 is Laughlin, plus 285 is Pacheco. This fight's minus 150 to finish. Laughlin plus 105 inside the distance. Pacheco plus 450. Laughlin 9,400. Pacheco 6,800. And we have Laughlin at 28%. Pacheco at 7%. Yeah, I'll throw it to you in this one. How I'm going to throw it to you is I think Laughlin is an interesting – I wouldn't even be surprised if his ownership was a little lower because I think the Ruziboevs, the Malcoons, the Blanchfields, the Bruno Silva, who are all cheaper than him, better inside the distance props, just more appealing plays on paper, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was like a little low 20s. Maybe the money line does keep his ownership right around what we got him at, the 28%, etc. But man, looks like takedown should be open for him in this fight. If it's not, though, and it's on the feet, Pacheco and that De Silva fight on Contender Series, volume for days, man. Pacheco looks to be a guy, walk forward, isn't afraid to eat one to give one, volume for days. Even in a win or any win, decision win, he has 80-point upside, like 80-point floor. I guess I shouldn't say 80-point floor. No one has an 80-point floor in a loss. But if you tell me he gets a decision win, I think he's scoring roughly 80 points or something because the volume's going to be there, as he showed in Contender Series, landing 200 significant strikes. I think Laughlin's the right side in this one, though, because I do think he has success wrestling, and you get a little different in that upper tier because I think he'll be like the fourth or fifth highest owned guy up top. So it's Laughlin for me in this one. Pacheco at sub 10% ownership, though, he will be my sub 7K guy that I do have in my pool, as I'm fading most of the other ones. So, yeah, I'll be overweight on this fight at the end of the day. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. I feel like Laughlin is just the better fighter, the more dangerous fighter for sure. I think he's got a lot more power on the feet, and then he's our more likely wrestler, grappler in this one. But Pacheco threw like over 500 total strikes in that Contender Series fight, which is insane. Laughlin will not be doing that, that's for sure. But the issue is he has no real striking defense. His defense was 35% in that fight, and you just can't eat those shots, I don't think, from Laughlin. And I do expect Laughlin to have to be higher paced than normal because of Pacheco. So my preferred play is to pay up in this one. I don't really like Pacheco that much. I don't think we're going to see that same war that we saw in the Contender Series. I also think Laughlin can take him down, and then Pacheco might not have anything for him on the ground. So I just think there's more ways for Laughlin to win. I think he could finish on the feet. I think he could finish on the ground. And he could also wrestle 3 rounds and score well on the cards. But yeah, you're probably right. I mean, if Pacheco does win, it's got to be volume, right? Just fooling the judge, like his volume over Laughlin's bigger punches, and volume will get you there even at his price, even if it's a close fight. Maybe the move is to be overweight on Pacheco, especially if he's as low owned as I put. But I could change that throughout the week. It was a rough draft. I ran through it just today. We still got till Friday, so make sure you go over to shippingnation.com. Check out the full ownership later in the week. But right now we have Pacheco low, Laughlin high. I agree with it, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm making like 5 or 10 lineups. I don't want any Pacheco, and I'm like, okay, let's get some Laughlin. Hopefully, he can get a finish. But that whole 9K range is just really tough this week. I don't have anybody that stands out over the other, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's why, like, you can feed into ownership. like Bruno Silva, we only have 5% higher owned. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a little bigger gap. Ruziboev, we have 11% higher owned. Aaron Blanchfield, 21% higher owned. Julio Arce, we even have 1% higher owned. Like, we know the cheaper, the Silvas, the Ruziboevs, the Malkoons, and Aaron Blanchfield will all be higher owned than Laughlin up top, and he's more expensive than all of them. So I do think, 25% or something, all the upside in the world. I think he wrestles here. Do you think so, Big Marley? At least like mixes in takedowns. I mean, took Lapalus down twice. Taylor Lapalus, very good takedown defense. This Pacheco, even on the regional scene, doesn't look like he really has much takedown defense. Do you expect takedowns? Because that's what I want at 9,400 to get a little different when you're talking upside.
Yeah, I would say probably, I don't know. I think he knocks him out. So, I mean, maybe takedowns come before the knockout. I think it would be smart. Just keep this guy guessing. But I don't know. Maybe that's a first round knockout and he doesn't even need any takedowns. So, I don't know. I think he could just kind of do anything he wants. Just don't get out volumed and let these judges take it from you, really.
Yeah. Yeah, he's plus 275 in round one, which is good. The last point I will make, because if I had 10 lineups, maybe I would even have one Pacheco because that could be overweight. 2 definitely is overweight. But if you look at 7,200 and lower, Petroski, Kyle Nelson, Sadiq, Dumas, Weidman, Pacheco, Burns. I like Pacheco more than Petroski, especially at ownership at 3 times higher owned, because we'll get to Malkoon. I love Malkoon this week. I like him more than Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson doesn't throw any volume. I do like Dumas more because when he wins, even though I think he loses in the first round, when he wins, you feel really confident that he will be optimal, and you get a lot of leverage off of Ruziboev. We'll talk about that fight. So I'd slightly like Dumas more. I like Pacheco more than Weidman. I like Pacheco more than Herbert Burns. So I probably will have a little more Pacheco than I want. Laughlin still is my preferred play in this slate. And I do think he wrestles, and I really do hope he wrestles in this one. What's up, Samir? Someone's always mentioning something about no hat. No hat today as well. Fresh off. Little haircuts. Got Lou in here talking about Big Marley's guns. Lone Wolf in here as well. Yeah, he did. He did go hard for the takedowns against Lapalus. Lapalus was getting the better on the striking exchange as well. So if Laughlin has the better striking exchanges, maybe he just keeps it on the feet, maybe knocks him out. But I'll be overweight on that fight. That fight odds have it the first fight of the night. We'll keep it rolling. Again, these the bout order might change for sure. I'm not sure how accurate it is on fight odds, but I'm going bottom to top to make it easy. Next fight on the card, kind of hinted at it. 2 wrestlers going at it. Jacob Malkoon, Andre Petroski. Minus 233 is Malkoon. Plus 198 is Petroski. Malkoon. This whole time, man, my mic's not even plugged in. My AirPods are probably what's going on. Give me a sec. That probably sounded awful. I'm really glad hold on. Give me a sec. All right. Does that sound any better?
Say something again.
Sound better? Sound better?
It's like changing right now.
Okay.
There we go. Now you're good. Yeah.
All right. I'm glad. All right. Sorry about that. Malkoon, Petroski, minus 233 is Malkoon. Plus 198 is Petroski. This fight's plus 120 to finish. Jacob Malkoon, plus 260 inside the distance. Andre Petroski, plus 300. 9K Malkoon, 7,200 Petroski. Jacob Malkoon, 32% we have. Andre Petroski, 23%, which is one of the most popular underdogs on the card. I'll throw it to you on this. I was a little surprised with the inside the distance prop being a Jacob Malkoon fight. It's just control, decision. He was going to finish Cody Brundage. I know you'll probably go in a spiel about that one last fight. But, man, like, plus 260 inside the distance is pretty good. I'm saying Malkoon by decision, just top control, wrestling. I mean, I thought he beat Brendan Allen, too. He was going to beat Brundage. I think he should be undefeated in the UFC. The dude's wrestling just looks absolutely legit. He's control over submission, which is why I was a little scared about the inside the distance prop. Now, Petroski does gas as the fight goes on, or can, especially if he's on bottom all fight. Maybe elbows get through and he just breaks from the bottom. So maybe a Malkoon late finish or decision. But I'll be underweight Petroski and I'll be overweight Malkoon because I just think he's the better wrestler, like he's shown in every single fight. Think he gets it to the mat. Dude averages over 7 takedowns per 15 minutes. Like, come on, man. Those numbers are absolutely crazy. Malkoon by decision or late finish. Petroski's going to get ownership, underweight. I'm good eating some Malkoon chalk. Yeah, that's how I see it. Give me Malkoon. What about you?
I'm just going to be heavy on the fight in general. It's one of my favorite fights on the card because both guys are primarily wrestlers. But Petroski, I just think, is the better grappler of the two. I think a striking match would be close. Petroski's probably got more knockout power, though. I just think it's a little closer than the odds indicate. So my preferred play actually is Petroski. And I think if Petroski wins, it's more likely that he scores 100 points than less than 10x, which puts him on the optimal lineup. Whereas Malkoun, I mean, he could definitely put up 100, 120 points as well. But if he drops around here, if he drops the first round, wins the second and the third, he's got to compete with a lot of other favorites. So I'm just planning on being, I mean, not 50-50, but I'm going to have a lot of both of them, maybe 40-40, which will put me close to double on Petroski and around field weight on Malkoun. But yeah, I think early here goes to Petroski, and then Malkoun has the better cardio. So later in the fight should go to him. He would be our more likely decision winner, but I think Petroski's our more likely finisher, and it's really close on the odds. I mean, for a minus 238.
I almost thought it was going to be the other way. That's what because Petroski's the more dangerous fighter. Like I don't expect like Petroski plus 250, Malkoun plus 320 or something like we sometimes see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Malkoun's finishing equity would be late in the fight. Petroski just gasses out. Malkoun finishes him in the third round. But it's still like when you're a minus 238 and you only have a 2% better inside the distance line than the plus 200, I don't love seeing that. So I'm going to take Petroski. I think he can finish him in this fight, whether it be a knockout or a submission. But my fear is that we get a striking match. The wrestling just cancels out and we get a 15-minute striking match, and then my lineups are just dead. So hopefully this fight takes place on the ground. But give me Petroski to get the upset.
Fair enough. We're definitely on different pages here, but all your point. When two wrestlers go at it on DraftKings, it's usually a good fight to target. The wrestling can be nullified and it turns into a striking match, and that's when it completely bricks. But if it's on the mat for like 12 out of 15 minutes, unless you see like one guy, Malkoun, dominate round 2, Petroski round 1, and you get a split that way, usually with two wrestlers, one is just way more dominant than the other. You get a big score. And I mean, like I said, Malkoun, to be honest, for Malkoun, I wanted to go to all 15 minutes, like all of his wins have. He scored 3 wins. All 3 of his wins, he averages like 125, all decision wins, because he just lays on you. He gets multiple takedowns. I mean, yeah, I guess he was doing some ground and pound and Brundage last time. It was probably going to finish him. But, yeah, give me Malkoun late or decision. You like Petroski. Totally makes sense with the ownership. Not the ownership, the pricing, excuse me. When Petroski does win, he's going to probably be optimal, but he does look to be one of the higher owned dogs on the card.
Yeah, I also don't love that 0% takedown defense on the Malkoun side, man. That doesn't look good. He hadn't stuff to take down yet, and now you're going against another wrestler. So I think he gets taken down early in this one, and then he might have to fight his way back with the cardio. But I just hope he gets finished in the first round, because if I'm double the field on Petroski in the second fight and he gets a first round finish, man, it's going to be a fun card.
Yeah, that it will be for sure. And if he does that, well, we got March Madness on, we got MLB on, we got blackjack, we got a lot of other things to make that money back on. So we'll be checking. Good fight to target, no doubt about that one. We'll keep it rolling though. 14 fights to talk about. Hopefully all 14 stay on. Melissa Gatto, Victoria Dudakova, Gatto minus 161, Dudakova plus 141. This fight's plus 150 to finish. Most of that finishing equity on the Gatto side, plus 215 inside the distance. Dudakova plus 500. Excuse me. Looking at the salaries in this one. Gatto, 8,500, 15% own. Dudakova, 7,700, 15% own. I will mention, a lot of line movement in this one. Somehow Dudakova opened minus 220. I'm not sure where in the world whoever opened that one, they might have been fired. Immediately, Gatto gets steam to sit like minus 155. And then the past couple of days, it's been going back and forth, got down to like minus 140, 145 for a bit, now minus 160. But more of the story, the line flips instantly pretty much, and has been sitting around this minus 155 mark. I'll throw it to you on this question. I'm on Gatto's side for sure. I mean, where's Dudakova better? I think there's a legit chance Gatto's better wherever this fight goes. Definitely more dangerous. But watch you say you like Dudakova and then just say everything that I said is completely opposite. So what are you seeing?
No, I actually like Gatto here as well. I think it's favorite or pass on the money line. But for Dudakova edges, maybe – I mean, she's younger. That's an edge, I guess. But
2 years, 27, 25.
Yeah,
I mean,
the way
I'll favor the older. 27,
Maybe
25, you feel a little more grown. You feel a little come into your body more.
Yeah, and Gatto's facing much tougher competition. But I would say if Dudakova has any real edges, it would be the wrestling, offensive wrestling. And Gatto is like really accepting of takedowns. She'll spend too much time on her back. So I could see Dudakova just spending too much time in top control and winning the fight that way. But I think Gatto is the better and more dangerous striker. I think she's the better submission artist as well. She could get taken down and finish the fight off her back. She could get takedowns herself, and Dudakova could be in some trouble. But if Gatto wins a decision here, I don't think she's going to wrestle enough.
Yeah.
And it would probably mostly take place on the feet, I think, and just not score enough. That's my worry. But she is dangerous. She can finish on the feet. She can finish on the ground. So my preferred play is going to be Gatto. But if Dudakova wins, it's going to be through wrestling, and she should score well also. So that's my problem on this card. There's like a lot of underdogs who I don't like to win. But if they do win, they probably score well. So I don't know what to do with that yet. Right now, I'm on the side of just be underweight on them.
15% on both of this fight. If you think there's a legit chance Dudakova can go out here and get you 3 takedowns, 10 minutes of control time, I had her as an underweight tag. I might reconsider though. I might change someone else to underweight, and her like 15% is not much. She's 7,700. Like 85 could be enough. Probably not. You're not necessarily signing up for it. I don't know, but very well could be enough on this card. There's 14 fights. Dogs aren't great by any means, especially when you look at upside for a lot of them. Like some of the live dogs look to be in pretty boring fights. Yeah, like very interesting. I'm definitely on the Gatto side, especially her finishing equity is way higher. Her grappling, she's way more dangerous. But because Gatto does accept being off her back, because she'll just throw up submissions or she thinks she can catch someone. She's accepting from bottom, 10 minutes of control time, whatever, 7,700, 15% is appealing. Now, Gatto's submission prop is a lot better, plus 400 compared to her TKO prop at plus 700. Is there any chance you can get a sub off her back, or do you think that's her getting a takedown, getting in top position, and then from there, she's very live for a sub?
Yeah, man, I think she can get an armbar from guard. WMMA is famous for that. So, yeah, Gatto's dangerous anywhere she goes. I just think as long as she doesn't spend 7 minutes on her back, she's going to win this fight.
Yeah. Sounds good, yeah. Give me Gatto on this one, too. But I do think you make some interesting points for Dudakova, especially like Fiore's down there for 300 left, going to be way higher on at 39%. We'll get to this Reese McKee fight. I think you're a little light on that ownership, but I think Reese McKee is going to be very popular. Plus 121, only had 7,600 in a fight, minus 325 to finish. So I think even right there, you'll get a little ownership discount in the same range for $100 more. So, yeah, interesting. Gatto for me. Gatto for you as well. Keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Ibo Aslan taking on Anton Turkali. Minus 130 is Aslan. Plus 110 is Turkali. Minus 400 for this fight to finish. Aslan minus 115 inside the distance. Turkali plus 195. 8,300 Aslan, 30%. 7,900 Turkali, 30%. I was hoping we get a little ownership discount in this one because whoever was going to be lower owned, I was going to pick. I don't have a strong lead on this one. So this is a rematch. Aslan's only loss was to Turkali. Turkali, not a great start in the UFC, but against good competition. 0-for-3 in the UFC. Aslan probably loses to all 3 as well. Turkali's fought the much better competition. He already beat Aslan. Now he's the dog again. Feels like Ason round 1 or Turkali after that. Ason the better striker, more front-loaded, slows down as the fight goes. Turkali has some cardio in him, wants the fight on the mat. That's how he finished him last time. I don't have a strong lean, though, man. My lean is Turkali just because I can build the lineup, go Aslan, take out Aslan, go Turkali, leave 400 plus. You eliminate dupes that way. That's kind of where I lean always on a fight that I'm indifferent about and the odds are really close. Talk me into a side here, though, because I don't have a strong lean.
Yeah, I don't have a strong lean either. I do think it's just a great fight to target, though, with Aslan's best chance of victory coming with the first round knockout, scoring 100+ points, being on the optimal lineup at $8,300. But if he doesn't get the first round knockout, he's going to be going for it, and he's just going to slow down as the fight goes along. He was getting the better of Turkali in their first fight in the first round. He even had, I think, at least 2 takedowns in that fight too. So he has a little bit of offensive wrestling potential too, but he did nothing with his takedowns. Whereas when Turkali took him down in the second round after he started to gas, he just choked him out right away. And we've seen Turkali get multiple takedowns. He had like 5 takedowns against Petrino, and Petrino's a freaking beast. And then on the Contender Series, he had like 11 takedowns or something like that. So, you've already beat this guy. You got a little confidence that way. You've been in the UFC already for multiple fights. You're going to be a little bit more comfortable walking in there. Don't even let this guy get off. Go for takedowns immediately. That's my style. I just like to fade the first round knockout or bust type of fighters. I'm definitely not going to fade Aslan because I'm just going to go heavy on the fight. But let's say if I win 100% on this fight, I'm looking at like 75% Turkali, 25% Aslan, because I do think it's close to a coin flip, just choosing the winner. But I side with the grappler over the striker in coin flips. I also side with plus money in coin flips. So Turkali for me, he's going to be my preferred play. I will be overweight to Turkali, but he might go out there and get blasted in the first 60 seconds, and Aslan's on the optimal lineup early in the card. And if you don't have him, you're done.
If you had to pick one fight to go all in on, what would it be? My lean's this one. And the only reason, and again, I'm not making any rules with 14 fights. There's multiple other ones that are close, but just because of the pricing, 83.79, there's so many outs. Under 1.5 is favored. Feels like Aslan early or Turkali by wrestling or something late.
Yeah. I'd say it's this one or the one we just talked about, Petroski, Malkoon. Those are my 2 favorites on the card, but probably this one.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. And yeah, I echo. You and I are on the same page with a lot of it. We don't have a strong lean, slight dog money, slight savings with the grappler who already beat him. Makes a lot of sense to me in this one. And Turkali did. So this line opened minus 180, Aslan plus 155 Turkali, and he has taken money since open as well. So that is also interesting to know. Great fight to target. One of the most likely to finish on the card, though. Keep it rolling. Next fight that I have zero confidence in. I'm throwing this one right to you. Then Bazooka, Connor Matthews, minus 126 is Bazooka, plus 106 is Connor Matthews. Fight ends, plus 100, flip the coin, baby. Bazooka, plus 225 inside the distance. Connor Matthews, plus 300. Looking at the odds in this one, Bazooka, 8,400, 14%. Connor Matthews, 7,800, 20%. Right at those odds, or at that ownership, Bazooka, I guess, is my preferred play. Use them in chalky lineups, 8,400 plus 225 inside the distance isn't bad. Chalky lineups, you can throw him in. Now in a vacuum looking at this fight, Connor Matthews was definitely my preferred play with the 600 savings, money line equity, pushes a higher pace, maybe can get some takedowns in this one. At the end of the day, though, I don't think either of these dudes are really good. Matthews making his UFC debut. Bazooka just got flatlined by Jamal Emmers at 49 seconds. He doesn't look great. Talk to me in this one. But ownership, it's going to be pretty low owned, and the favorite is lower owned is what stands out right away.
Yeah, I'm on the underdog in this one. With Bazooka, he just doesn't do anything impressive. Like, he's mostly a striker, but he doesn't have great volume. He's not a one-punch, you're dead type of striker either. So I think a 15-minute striking match, which is what should favor him, I don't even know that he wins that. And Matthews can crack too. I would say the overall power goes to Bazooka, and I would have said durability as well, but he just got starched super quick in his last fight, so I don't know about that anymore. But also cardio should go to Bazooka. Matthews just went to decision for like first or second time, I believe, in his last 2 fights or something like that. But almost all of his wins prior to his last fight on the Contender Series, I believe every single win was early. Like, this guy's going for it early. He's looking for takedowns and he's choking people out. So this guy's ceiling is 110 points, where I don't think Bazooka has that in him. I think his most likely his most likely score in a win is like under 70 points probably. So I'm looking to fade Bazooka, but I'm a little bit worried about the cardio from Matthews. Fades are tough on this card. I haven't really found anybody I'm just absolutely fading. But right now, Bazooka is a possibility for me. I might just try and X him out, hope for the best. But I know for sure I want to be overweight to Matthews because I feel like the first round finishing equity is probably him, especially if he's going to look for takedowns. And if this does go to a decision, the only guy that has a chance of scoring 100 points is Matthews. He landed like 7 takedowns in his last Contender Series fight. It was good to see him be able to do that for 3 rounds. He was also the fresher fighter in the second round when the other guy started to slow down. The other guy was 10-0, so that gave me hope for Matthews. I'll be overweight to him, possibly fading Bazooka.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Bazooka. Like, I was underweight Bazooka, overweight Matthews. But, I mean, man, 14% owned for Bazooka, plus 225 inside it. Like,
I'm just hoping that's paying the Rick, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That kind of comes back to our first thing up above. It's like you lean too much into who you like and stuff. I don't know. I might be the donkey with, plus fit. Like, you get the ownership leverage, the favorite, lower owned than the opponent against one of the more popular dogs we have right now. Plus 225 inside the distance isn't bad. Like, all the props, if you just don't watch a Bazooka fight, it screams. This looks like to be a pretty solid play. You watch him fight, he doesn't do much. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm torn. Connor Matthews is my preferred, especially with the savings. Can build a Bazooka lineup, take Bazooka out, go Connor Matthews. You leave your 600 plus right away. Yeah, he definitely has more upside. He's the better play for sure. But if you do need someone low owned, he's going to be low owned. The Pachecos, Herbert Burns, Jamal Emmers, Bill Algeo, like those are a couple guys right there. If you got really chalky lineups, leave some salary, use one of those guys, use 2, etc. And that's how you get different. Connor Matthews for me too, though. Appreciate everyone hanging out. 30 minutes in, not even 5 fights down. Still plenty of fights to talk about, though. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. If you want to join the nation, if you just wanted to join MLB 15 just came out. Use that promo code monthly package. Comes out to $1 a day. Can't beat that price in the industry. If you want MMA, PGA, NASCAR, MLB, NBA, all the sports, use that promo code HOOP15. We'll get you 15% off monthly, 6-month, or annual packages. All do include the Discord, except weekly as well, which is a big piece of the product. Very knowledgeable members. Our guy Pickens was in there last week as well. All these members, plenty of people in here in the Discord. Low price, great content, best ownership in the industry from our man, Big Marley. Head over to the nation and join us. Next fight, biggest favorite on the card, Julio Arce, Herbert Burns. Minus 400 is Arce. Plus 300 is Herbert Burns. Minus 325 for this fight to finish. Looking at the pricing, Arce, 9,500, highest price fighter on the card. 29% owned. Herbert Burns, lowest price fighter, 6,700, 8% owned. Are you going to have any Herbert Burns? Because when he wins, his path is early. If he wins, it's probably going to be optimal. Could be another OSP, very low owned, etc. But man, he stinks. He doesn't stink. He's talented. He's a quitter. He doesn't have cardio. He really needs the fight on the mat, or he needs a knee out of nowhere like he did against Landwehr. But man, I mean, the dude is taking out one of the best takedown defense dudes in Julio Arce. His hands aren't even close to Julio Arce's. This feels so much like a Julio Arce second round KO. Survive early a little bit. I mean, just keep it on the feet. Herbert Burns will slow down, rip to the body, mix it up in the second round. Herbert will eventually fall over and quit. Do you see it going any different?
No, not really. We don't have odds on this one, but this could be one where I max my Arce ownership at his first round finishing odds, because if he gets a second round KO, I don't know that it's going to be enough, especially if he drops the first round.
Yeah, definitely not if he does that.
I am actually going to get some Burns exposure here. I think if Burns wins, his range is 95 to 105 points. He's going to be a first round submission most likely. Yeah. And he is the better grappler here. He's a pretty good wrestler too. But yeah, it's he's a way better hammer than a nail. If things don't go his way, he's going to find a way to quit. And then Arce probably puts him away at some point. So we need the knockout from Arce. But his range is 70 to 110 points. I don't know what this guy's going to do. And I would say if they fought 100 times and we average up Arce's wins and Burns wins, Burns is going to outscore this guy in his wins.
I agree.
So this is one where like I probably have more lineups with Arce, but I'm going to have more leverage on Burns. He won't be very owned at all, but I think he has a decent chance of breaking the slate. So I like him more than Pacheco, who we already talked about. I like him more than a couple of these other scrubs on the card, price wise anyways. And I think that this line could be a little bit off, especially in the first round. Like I would not want to pay minus 400 right now on Arce. Maybe if he drops the first 3 minutes of this fight, then you lay it if he hadn't been finished yet, because we'll get a much better price then. But man, first round could favor Burns in this one, but he's getting old. He's coming off like multiple ACL tears. He is a quitter.
Yeah,
so
Buddy was carried out in the octagon by his younger brother. I think Gilbert's. No, he might be older. I don't even know, but yeah, I thought so at first. Anyway, he got carried out of the octagon after absolutely. I mean, he was done in the first round last fight against Algeo. He just got absolutely
looked like a world beater though in the first 2 minutes or whatever it was.
He did.
Fight, so I mean, I feel like if you want to look like a world beater in the first 2 minutes of an Arce fight, you got a chance. I mean, he was choked out by Brian Kelleher on some regional scene. Burns is a much better, more dangerous grappler than Kelleher. So I think Burns is alive here more so than Vegas does. So I'll probably at least double the field on Burns, where I'll be underweight, I'm thinking, to Arce, just because the whole 9K range is such a toss-up to me, where I would rather just save the money, get Laughlin or whoever, anybody really. So I'll just be underweight to Arce.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. I prefer Laughlin too at 100 or less. I prefer Bruno, Ruziboev, all of them, etc. So if 29% is right, give me Laughlin. Yeah, Herbert's tough. I don't mind taking a sprinkle. I had a fade right now. I will say though, I wrote it up Monday. Arce was minus 600 on Monday. Now this line's minus 400. So just in those 2 days, people have bet on the Herbert Burns side. And like you said, it makes sense. If you want Arce, I mean, the live bet is how you do it. Laying minus 400 early when Herbert's fresh, it would not sound fun at all. You could get a better line halfway through the first round, maybe something like that. And if Arce knocks him out early, you don't cash a ticket on a minus 400. I think it's a lot safer to take the live bet and you have a better chance at a better number. So I'm with you. We'll see. Maybe I'll change Herbert to underweight because when he does win, like you said, the upside is most definitely there. I just think it's a bad matchup. Great takedown defense for Arce. Clearly the better striker, better cardio. I think Herbert just needs to get it down early. But if he gets a takedown, like you said, he is a very good grappler. So I'll go back and forth on that one, fade or underweight for Herbert Burns. Arce in that one, though, not my favorite DFS play. Keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, women's division, Lupita, Godinez, Verna, Jandiroba, minus 205, Lupita, plus 105 is Jandiroba. This fight's plus 195 to finish. Jandiroba plus 330 inside the distance. Godinez plus 450. Godinez 8,700, 15%. Jandiroba 7,500, 14%. I mean, no Loopy for me in this one. I think when I play Loopy, I want wrestling upside. She'd be really dumb to wrestle in this fight to get Jandiroba on the mat. I think she has a clear striking advantage. Over 2.5 is minus 300. The favorite has worse inside the distance prop at plus 450. If you want a really low-owned fighter to get different with, Loopy can be yours. No thank you to me. I'd rather Bazooka for cheaper, Pacheco, etc. Herbert Burns probably even. Jandiroba side. So her inside the distance prop was, again, I did all my stuff on Monday. Plus 285 was it on Monday. So I was like, okay, she might be 20% owned. One of the more popular dogs. Plus 330 inside the distance now. So I think that does pull some ownership back a little bit. Phenomenal grappler. She needs it on the mat. I'm not sure she really gets it there, though. Loopy by decision, outpointing her in a unanimous decision is my pick. And if that's the case, I think this fight busts. My preferred play is Jandiroba as the dog. Very, very good jiu-jitsu. She pulls something out of her hat. There you go. Plus 175. Could score well, but not a fight I want. Loopy by decision. What about you?
Yeah, I really just agree with all of that. I think that Godinez is the better striker, better wrestler. Jandiroba is the better grappler. So if you can just use your wrestling and defense, keep this fight on the feet, Loopy wins 3 rounds probably on the feet and just doesn't even 10x her $8,700 price tag. So that's how I see the fight going down. Ultimately, I'm looking to fade this one. But at the same time, at low ownership, if Jandiroba wins, it's probably a submission. And maybe she's the one landing takedowns. She should be looking to chain wrestle in this one, in my opinion. I mean, because it only takes one of 16 possibly from her. But if she can get it, she can get a sub.
I don't know if she got cardio for 16 of them, but yeah, she only needs one.
I just don't see that happening. I don't see her winning. So it's like I would rather just fade it, but you can make a point for her. And then on the other side, Godinez, like, that's what she should do, is just keep this fight on the feet, win a striking match. But she is the better wrestler here. She doesn't wrestle when we want her to, but maybe she thinks she's John Jones. She's just going to go out there and beat everybody at their own game. And this is the fight where she's going to go out there and wrestle for 3 rounds. So at low ownership, I can't X her out of my player pool. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this fight. I think it's just one where when I'm hand building, it won't be one where I'm clicking on it, but I'm fine getting a little bit of exposure to both sides with some MME, but I'd probably want to max it at like 20% both sides. And I really wouldn't want 20%. I'd rather be around the 10% range, because I do think ultimately Godinez just wins a striking match.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. If you you'll play a little loopy. You play if you play the Blanchfield lineup with Ruziboev, with Connor Matthews, you're just eating chalk. That's when you throw a loopy in. We've seen some crazy performances in MMA. Yeah, you get 100 from loopy, you'll be sitting real pretty in that one. Not a fight I want. Prefer Jandiroba if I pick, but more so a fade. Next fight on the card: Jamal Emmers, Nate Landwehr, -221 minus 221. The favorite is Jamal Emmers. Nate Landwehr, the dog, +186. This fight's -110 to finish. Jamal Emmers +200. Nate Landwehr +300. Odds on this one, or pricing on this one: Jamal Emmers 8,900, 18%. Nate Landwehr 7,300, 18%. I've gone first on most of these, so I'll just throw it right to you. What do you see in this fight? What's your preferred play, etc.?
Another tough one where I think Landwehr's just super in play in a 3-round striking match. He's just a crazy man. He'll be out there. He'll take punches to give punches. But he's also alive for a knockout. Emmers has been knocked out a couple times in the past. I don't think Landwehr really has much wrestling upside in this matchup, but he's an okay wrestler when he wants to be. So I feel like a Landwehr win has a good chance of scoring over $7,300 unless it's just 73 points, unless it's just a 15-minute striking match. But I do still favor Emmers in a 15-minute striking match. Emmers also coming off a 60-second knockout, which is great to see. But Emmers has the wrestling edge in this fight. He's just like Loopy, where I just don't trust him to actually use it, and maybe he makes this fight closer than it should be on the cards. And then now we got to trust 3 corrupt judges on who wins. You probably want the underdog in that case. But for me, I definitely favor Emmers to win, but I think he's my preferred play in this fight. But it's similar to the Godinez one, where he could just win 3 rounds on the feet and he's not going to score enough points. So it's one where I'm fine being underweight to both sides, and I probably won't click on it much with my hand builds, but it's okay for MME fights. I'm cool getting 10 to 20% on either side. But my preferred play is going to be Emmers, just because I think he has more ways to score 100+ points, which would be a knockout against this guy who's very hittable, especially early in fights, or a wrestler. I mean, if you want to land 7 takedowns here, Emmers, I think you could probably do it.
Interesting. Yeah. My preferred play, because 86% takedown defense, Nate. I think Emmers probably, his striking's close, probably has more pop on his shots, gets the better of the exchanges. So I didn't really see the 7 takedowns route. However, you saying that, I still like this fight. I like this fight more than you. Landwehr is my preferred play with 1,600 lower, throws over 6 significant strikes per minute. So it feels like any win, plus 300 inside the distance props, good for him too. But even if it goes to decision, I wouldn't think a split decisions are crazy by any means. Landwehr with the volume, Emmers maybe more big shots. Judges are absolutely awful anyway, so who knows what they even look at. And 82 points, Landwehr decision definitely could be enough. So he's one of my top dogs down low. He averages over a takedown per 15 minutes himself too. I don't necessarily see that coming to fruition, but just the volume alone. Emmers, so I wouldn't even be surprised if Emmers was 15%. At 8,900, Blanchfield's 100 lower, Ruziboev or Malkoon's 100 more, Ruziboev's there, Silva's there. They all scream like better plays to me. So I think Emmers and chalkier lineups make some sense. Landwehr's been KO'd in 2 of 5 losses. Emmers has some power, but I think even like a second round Emmers finish, third round, I wouldn't love it at 8,900, since I do think one of those or two of those people in the upper 9K range does put up a big score. So give me the dog as the preferred play, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nate's like 20%, 21% gets a little steam too with the floor, with the inside the distance prop. He's my preferred play. Emmers more so in chalky lineups, but this fight was plus 100 a couple days ago to finish. Now minus 110. So a little steam coming in on the finish. Yeah, Landwehr can push a pace. Emmers is dangerous. I think it's a fine fight. Landwehr my preferred play. Emmers in chalkier lineups as the favorite. Keep it rolling. 14 fights to talk about. Plenty still to go. This one should be fun. Chidi, Njokuani, Reese McKee. Chidi minus 140. Reese McKee plus 121. Looking at the odds in this one, minus 325 for this fight to finish. Chidi minus 115. Reese McKee plus 225. Pricing on this one, we have 8,600 for Chidi at 16%. Reese McKee 7,600, 17%. And again, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Reese McKee will be higher owned than 17%. And here we go. I wanted to pull up this question. Does Chidi fold if he doesn't get McKee out of there in 4 minutes, but known to give up and now at 170? I think so. I think it's Chidi in 4 minutes, first round, or it's Reese McKee after. I mean, man, Chidi coming down to 170. Keep an eye on weigh-ins in this one. We're doing this show on Wednesday. Weigh-ins very important. Chidi's already big at 185. I'm not sure where he's going to find those 15 pounds. He already didn't have great cardio. I mean, this weight cut ain't going to make it anymore. Could affect the chin a little bit. Now, you know he's still going to carry over power. Now, he gets pretty much the one guy at 170 that he's not going to be towering over. Reese McKee's huge for the division himself, too. Walking punching bag, but the dude's tough, and the dude has cardio, and he throws volume himself. I love this fight to target for sure. Under 1.5, minus 135. And why I like it even more, you're probably wondering, minus 140 and Chidi's 8,600. Yeah, so he was minus 175 at open, got down to minus 225 and sat there for a good bit. Then just the past couple days, since March 23rd, minus 210, minus 190, minus 160, it just kept going in the Reese McKee in his favor. I don't know if someone's got some inside info on the weight cut. People just look at lines late and are worried about it, etc. But I love it because Chidi has as much upside as anyone at 16% at 8,600. Like, I love that play. Bad money line value, all the upside in the world. Give me plenty of Chidi. I do think Reese McKee's higher, could even be 25% owned. I still like chalk Reese McKee and lineups at 25% owned or whatever, because if he wins, the upside's absolutely huge because Chidi could very well die after 4 minutes with no cardio. Great fight to target. I think the dog's more popular in Reese McKee. If that's the case, like 25 compared to 15 or something, Chidi would be my preferred play. But I just love this fight, period. And that's when you can play Jamal Emmers and Reese McKee lineups or Loopy for you, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, great fight to target. Look at line movement, monitor it all the way through, monitor weigh-ins for Chidi side. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm on the Chidi side of this one. He is dropping weight in this one. He's a big boy, dropping down to 170 here. That's really my main concern. My other main concern usually for Chidi is when he's fighting wrestlers, people are going to be able to take him down when they want to. It's not the case here. Reese McKee's the same way, even worse, to be honest with you. I would say if there's takedowns in this fight, it's probably Chidi getting them.
Yeah.
But I also think Chidi is the much more dangerous striker. I think he's the better defensive striker. I think he's just ultimately the better striker in this fight. It'll probably show so more early in the fight where he would be more likely to slow down and McKee could come on late. But McKee's he's just not good enough. And my worry is
should we bet Chidi at minus 140 right now? Like, man, if he makes weight, I don't see it getting any better.
I want to see what face-offs look like ultimately, but yeah, I mean, my preferred play right now is Njokuani. And I mean, sure, McKee can throw high volume. He landed a lot of strikes in that Alex Morono fight, but he would have scored too. He would have only scored 82 points in a win there. And that's like his ceiling. I don't think he's scoring 80 more than that against Chidi. I think he drops the first round here, even if he does win. And I just don't think any takedowns are going to come along the way. I don't know that he can drop Chidi. I think this could also be a technical striking match for 15 minutes where neither one of them are going to score well. But I think Chidi knocks this guy out in the first round. So I'm going to get a little bit of leverage there. But he's got to knock him out in the first round. If he doesn't knock him out in the first round, he's not going to score enough points. So I definitely won't be taking a stand or anything like that. But I do think I'll be overweight to the Chidi side. And I don't want to fade McKee, especially with the new line. But the more his ownership goes up, the less I like him ultimately. So overweight to Njokuani, underweight to McKee.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I definitely think his ownership will be going up if the line stays anywhere where it's at, even goes in Reese's favor. Yeah, we got 5 fights left. We'll touch on this quick, though. I had a 29-28 Bulgarian. I thought he won 1 and 2. Pretty clear. I don't think a draw was crazy. The third round, if you wanted to give a 10-8, the reason I didn't is because not enough judges do give 10-8s nowadays. But I thought it was 29-28 Bulgarian. Maybe 28-28 is not crazy. I thought the other side was pretty crazy. But at the end of the day, you can't be shocked about any decision anymore. Like, it's not the worst I've ever seen. A lot of people have said, oh, that's the worst. I mean, I thought the Maverick Barber fight was absolutely crazy back in the day. I thought we had another one really recently, too. It's slipping from my head. What are your thoughts on Big Marley?
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty clear 29-28 Bulgarian, 2 10-8 rounds. I mean, when you throw 10-8 rounds with these idiot judges, they don't know what to do, first of all. But, I mean, I've seen so many horrible decisions that it's not even like top 5 worst I've seen. If you want to see an awful one, go back way back in the day, watch CB Dalloway versus Tim Bosch. Like, that's the worst, the absolute worst one you'll see.
Okay, that might have been before I was born. Those names do not ring a bell very much.
That's like probably like 12 years ago, 10 years ago. I don't know. It goes back a ways.
Jocelyn Edwards had a bad one too against the wrestler. I'm blanking on the other name, but she was on her back like 11 minutes of the fight and somehow won that fight or something. But yeah, that's all we saw. 5 fights left on the card. Bill Algeo, Kyle Nelson, -235 is Bill Algeo, +200 is Kyle Nelson. This fight's +155 to finish. And somehow all of the inside, they're still not posted on Fight Odds, any inside the distance prop that I'm seeing. Over 2.5 is -223. We have Bill Algeo at 9,100, 17%. Kyle Nelson, 7,100, 13%. If you want someone different in the upper tier, clear as day above. Actually, I'll say Loopy in there too. 8,700 and above. Loopy, Jamal Emmers, Bill Algeo. Right now we have sub 20%. If you have a chalky lineup, you can want to mix in Bill Algeo. You can do that to get difference. I don't like this fight, though. It's a Kyle Nelson fight. Kyle Nelson fights mean boring. If I had a preferred play, it's Bill Algeo. I mean, he does throw good volume, over 6 significant strikes per minute. Probably the more dangerous guy. He can push a pace. If he does, Kyle Nelson can gas. Maybe a third round Bill Algeo finish. We've seen him put up some big scores, but I mean, in a vacuum, who he's surrounded by, like, I don't want this fight. If I only had a couple lineups, I'm definitely not playing this one. No Kyle Nelson, Bill Algeo, underweight, but fade I think would be fine too. What do you see?
Yeah, I think fade's probably, well, I'd say favorite or pass. Nelson's probably my favorite fade on the card. He's someone I'm looking to X out. He's live and just like a gritty, close decision. But he looked the best he has in his last 2 fights. He scored 63 in both of them. I'm not interested in 63 points, so I'll be Xing Nelson out. He's got a great first name, but that's the best thing he's got going for him. And then on Algeo, like, he usually does score well. He's never scored less than 85 when he wins. But at the same time, I feel like most of this fight probably does take place on the feet. Maybe he mixes in 2 takedowns or so. If he doesn't get any knockdowns, I just think it's going to be hard to pay off a $9,100 salary. And if he does pay it off, he's still got to compete with all these other guys on the card. So yeah, ultimately I'm fades maybe the best way to go, but I'm not going to X out Algeo. I'll keep him in as a lower owned favorite who could mix in more takedowns or more top control than I would like. He's somebody who can land a lot of strikes on the ground when he is able to get some takedowns. So I could see 100+ points from him. So at low ownership, I'm a little interested in Algeo, but it's Algeo or pass in this fight for me.
Algeo or Emmers, if you had to pick?
I'll probably be, I don't know. I'll probably be close. Dang, I don't know. Probably similar,
Yeah.
maybe 15% both, something like that.
For sure. And I think they're very similar. Like, they're going to be lower owned. You use them in chalkier lineups. If we're playing the Connor Matthews or Reese McKee, Blanchfield, Furo, like those are the people you can mix in the upper tier for sure. I lean Emmers slightly because I think he has more finish upside in this fight. But yeah, Algeo has, if he pushes the pace, he throws good volume. If he does mix in takedowns, if Nelson slows, Algeo can put up a big number. Just not a fight I love personally. So more of a fade. I do agree, favorite or pass though. And yeah, I mean, if you're new for sure watching it, I would be shocked too. Just taper your expectations a little bit. Like these people are clueless. Somehow they find, somehow they have like, I don't know how many judges they have. Let's just say 15. Somehow have 15 of the dumbest humans walking on this planet watching these fights that have millions of dollars on it. I don't know what's going on. I'm not surprised anymore. Hey, live bet. It's a very good live betting sport because plus money usually works out. If it's going to go to decision and a fight looks close, you see some like plus 300, minus 450 stuff go all the time. Just take the plus 300 for sprinkles. You'll be up long term is how I see it after these crazy decisions. Yeah. Keep it rolling though. 4 fights left on the card. One of the best, the most likely to finish on the card. Nurlston Ruziboev taking on Cedric Dumas. Ruziboev minus 250. Dumas plus 210. Minus 600 for this fight to finish. Ruziboev, highest inside the distance prop on the slate at minus 210. Dumas plus 300. Ruziboev 9,200, 39%. Dumas 7,000, 14%. I mentioned it earlier. Like, I love this fight. I like Dumas. 14%, I'll be overweight. I think he loses. I think Ruziboev gets a first-round submission. But plus 210 is not crazy. I mean, we see plenty of big favorites lose all the time in MMA. So plus 210 is not bad. Plus 300 inside the distance, not bad for 14%. Especially in a fight under 1.5, minus 145. He's live if it's on the feet. He's long. He has some power. Now, that was all the reasons to play the low-owned Dumas as leverage off a chalky Ruziboev. But he more than likely scores 8 points for you. And that's what I think he scores because I think Ruziboev can knock him out on the feet. But why would he not just wrestle? I mean, Josh Friend dominated Cedric Dumas through the wrestling. Like, Ruziboev is a way better wrestler, a way more dangerous grappler. I think Ruziboev shoots a double leg or gets a takedown pretty early, makes it look easy, and gets a finish shortly after that. But I do, like I said, with all that being said, kind of what Pickens talked about pre-show, back in the day, maybe I'd have 0 Dumas or something. Now, when he wins at plus 210, I think he scores well. Even though I think he scores 8 points, I will be playing some Cedric Dumas at 8 points that I projected. Throw it to you in this fight, though. What are you doing? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm definitely more so on the Ruziboev side. I think he's much more dangerous everywhere. He's a much more dangerous striker, much more dangerous grappler. But like in my opinion, he doesn't rest. I haven't seen enough wrestling from him anyways. It shows he had a takedown in his last fight. I watched that fight like 2 days ago. I thought he knocked him down. I thought it was a clear knockout. I don't remember him too. I don't remember him looking for a takedown in that fight. And then I went back and watched previous fights and he was getting taken down, but then he's just locking up these submissions really quick off of his back. So I got to think even if Dumas takes him down, Ruziboev has the edge on the ground, even off his back. But if Ruziboev does actually look for takedowns here, he's probably got a big edge in top control. And then I do think he's the better striker of the two. I think a 15-minute striking match could be close, and that's what puts Dumas in play here. But I would still give the edge to Ruziboev there. Just he wouldn't score enough in a 15-minute striking match. He probably does need a finish here. I don't think he's going to be super high volume. I don't think he has 10 takedown upside or anything like that. So at his ownership, I could be okay going a little bit underweight to him. And then I think really the only way that I would want to play Dumas is just as a direct leverage play off of one of the chalkier plays on the card in Ruziboev. But I don't see Dumas having any real ceiling here. I think maybe get a knockout, but that's his 100-point ceiling, I think.
You think Dumas is more likely to win a decision than a knockout?
Yeah, probably.
Let's see what the odds are. Dumas decision plus 575, inside distance plus 300. Okay, that's interesting. Dumas actually has a better decision prop than Ruziboev now. It went from plus 650 to plus 575. Ruziboev plus 650 to plus 600. That's really interesting. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, I think a decision from if you told me we're going to get a decision from Ruziboev here. Yeah, 0%. I mean, I don't know about zero. I'm underweight for sure, but I do think he could make. Maybe this is the time he does turn into a wrestler, and he could still score well. But yeah, definitely underweight if we knew this was going to go.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm not saying the path is 0% to be to have a chance at optimal in the decision. If I knew decision, I'm playing Bruno, I'm playing Blanchfield, I'm playing all those guys in all of his ownership in place. Not that he can't control it for 12 minutes on the mat. Takedowns, control time, and get there, but I would bet against it. Yeah, that's interesting though. Definitely Ruziboev, my preferred play. Just another great option in the upper tier. I will have some Dumas though, even though you scared me a little bit because I don't even like Dumas. Like I think he gets killed. Dumas don't like dumbass. I mean, the dude is not the sharpest in the toolbox, but he's long. He can crack a bit, and under 1.5 minus 145. So yeah, I'll have some Dumas. Ruziboev,
I actually think I should like Ruziboev more. I feel like because I think maybe the first card I came over to Shipping Nation for was Ruziboev. He was an underdog. I liked him a lot at 78.
The Bruno Ferreira one, yep.
Yeah, so he was in my core plays that first week. We started out hot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know that this is much of a better matchup for him, to be honest with you. Maybe a little less dangerous knockout power, but now to be a minus 250. I don't know. I think it's just a little bit of an overreaction. I do think Dumas isn't very good either, but Ruziboev just doesn't fight like I would want him to fight. He gets finishes like I would want him to get finishes. Yeah. But in a 15-minute fight, I would worry about his pace and his lack of wrestling.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go. Nice fight on the card. We got 3 left. Literally right price, very similar. The same exact money line right now. Bruno Silva, Chris Weidman, minus 250 is Bruno Silva, plus 210 is Chris Weidman. This fight very heavily favored to finish 2, minus 325. Silva minus 190 inside the distance. Chris Weidman plus 450. Odds on this one are pricing. Silva 9,300, 33%. Weidman 6,900, 10%. So I shouted out my man Clint last week, diehard MMA. Shouldn't say my man. I've never met him. I see you sometimes in the YouTube chat though. Follow you on Twitter. You were a funny man. You helped me make a lot of cheese on Payne Talbot last week. Got in on that early line. I did see you on Chris Weidman this week, though. I saw actually a good amount of people on Chris Weidman this week. Talk to me, Big Marley, because I don't get it. I think this could be more straightforward. Chris Weidman on one leg at 39 years old, knocked out in 6 fights, 6 of his 7 losses against a dude with 20 knockouts and 23 fights that hits like a truck. I guess it's the Andrew Sanchez fight. Like everyone is Weidman's going to be Andrew Sanchez. Like I guess it has to be. Is that how you see it?
Yeah. No USADA. Weidman is going to be Andrew Sanchez, but that's what it's got to be. Like Weidman is just a shell of his former self. Like he's so much slower. He's got no durability. He's got no striking, no pace. No knockout power.
Like, dude, it's like he's hitting on a tee. He's like, how does Bruno not tee off on this guy? Like, how do you let him take you? Like, I don't get it though. But this line's telling me something funky's gonna happen.
So that's another one. Like I mentioned it earlier. Like, there's a lot of underdogs on this card. I'm not picking to win, and I don't feel good about him winning. But if Chris Weidman wins this fight, he's going to score well. It's going to be
for sure. And I still have him as a fade because I don't know how he wins. But you're right. Back to Pickens thing, and that's why I'm screwing myself. Yeah.
And I'm the same. Like I don't know if I want to play him or if I want to fade him. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Weidman. I think ultimately he's going to get knocked out by a better striker, much more dangerous striker, a much less washed striker with more durability. So I think Silva by knockout is the move here. But at his price, he needs the knockout, and he needs it to come early. He can't lose the first round to wrestling. He needs to win the first round and probably win in the first round to get on the optimal lineup. So this 9K range is so tough this week for me. I think it's just a great MMA card where I don't really want to even know what my lineups look like. I want to build my lineups on the solver, look at my exposures. If they look good, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I think that's very sharp.
But give me Silva as my preferred play, my more likely leverage play. But damn, man, when the card locks, if I have 20% Weidman, I'm not
fine,
against
yeah. There's enough. Yeah, I don't love the dogs on this card. I think a lot of them are pretty bad. So I totally don't. He's a primary wrestler, striker versus wrestler. Plus 210 inside the distance isn't bad. He's taken a little money as of late too, actually. He was just plus 240 yesterday, plus 250 2 days ago. Like some money, 40 cents. It's moved in 2 days on the Weidman side. So if you want to go that route, yeah, I mean, I'm picking Bruno Silva though. What, plus 110 in round one, minus 190 inside the distance, like a straight right down the pipe should put Weidman on his ass, and from there it should be over. However, Andrew Sanchez, all he did in the first 2 rounds was took Bruno Silva down, and Silva had nothing to work with. The only reason Silva won is because Andrew Sanchez could barely walk in round 3. Bruno Silva knocks out a completely gassed Andrew Sanchez, but any bit of cardio.
Too. Weidman has no cardio
sure.
now either.
For sure, it could happen in this one. What do you plus 450 for Weidman to finish? Like how? How does he do it?
It would be a submission, but he hadn't submitted anybody's. Shit, it's been a long time since he submitted anybody. I don't even remember what his last submission would be.
Plus 900 down to plus 550. That's a bad opener, I guess. 900 went down right to 650, etc. But yeah, there's some money on the Weidman sub. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Bruno by knockout, though. I think we spent enough time on that fight. 2 fights left. Co-main event. This one should be some fun. Vicente Luque, Joaquin Buckley, minus 122 is Luque, plus 102 is Buckley. Again, make sure to line chop. This fight's even money at some places. And definitely be aware or just be locked into this line throughout the whole week, because we've seen a lot of changes so far. Wouldn't be surprised if this line even flipped. Minus 190 for it to finish. Luque plus 135. Buckley plus 225. 8,200 is Luque, 18%. Buckley, 8K, 19%. I wouldn't be surprised to see this fight a little higher owned. I do agree. I don't think it can be crazy high owned, because the Aslan Turkali fight right in that same range is much better. But still, minus 190 to finish. Dog's pretty tough on this card. I wouldn't be surprised to get a little more love. Now, in terms of a pick, I'll throw it to you actually in this one. Break this one down. Closest line fight, closest price fight, fight expected to finish under 2.5, minus 162. What's your plan of attack?
Yeah, I actually like Luque in this fight. I think the worry for Luque here is just all the damage he's taken in his career, and now he's facing a guy in Buckley who has big time power. Who it could just take one shot to put Luque away. Buckley definitely has the power edge, the strength edge in this fight. I mean, but that's it, in my opinion. I think Luque is the better wrestler of the two. Maybe offensive wrestling somewhat close, but if Luque takes Buckley down, he has nothing to worry about. Where if Buckley takes Luque down, he could be in some trouble down there. Luque's
you think he can control him? You think, because that was a big thing, because the strength advantage you talked about, like Buckley, the strength advantage. What he did to RDA, Luque, the 7th, like I was RDA coming up a weight class. Now you're talking a grown ass man. Do you think he can replicate that? Because I think that's important.
No, I don't know that he could control him. I think he's more likely to control Buckley than Buckley is to control Luque.
Yeah.
But I think he's more likely to submit Buckley than he is to control him for 15 or 10 minutes of this fight. I just think he's a dangerous grappler, but he never looked for as much offensive wrestling as we wanted to until that last fight. So that was great to see, especially on a guy who we're worried about taking punches at this point in his career. If you want to fight smart now, his best path to victory in most fights is probably on the ground. And I think he could dominate this fight on the ground. I think a 15-minute striking match, that's Luque in my opinion too, just based off striking. I mean, just based off pace alone, but I think he's ultimately just a better striker too. Buckley, where it's just more power. He could throw out volume, but just power is his best asset. And if he doesn't knock out Luque, he's not going to score enough for the optimal lineup. So for me, I'm like looking to, I don't know about fade Buckley, but he's an underweight play for me. Where if I'm taking a stand on this fight, I definitely Luque. He's my overweight play. I just don't trust him to wrestle enough. And if he does win a striking match here, it could be close, and he probably doesn't score enough to be on the optimal lineup. So I don't feel great about him winning, but I think he has a much higher and more likely ceiling in this fight. So Luque overweight for me, Buckley underweight. I mean, if I make 20 lineups, I'd probably end up fading Buckley, but I think it's more of a 150 type of card, 100 lineups. So I'll probably have a good amount, something in the mini max.
Are you worried about the southpaw look against Luque? Like Jeff Neal, one of the only southpaws Luque's fought in a while, and he just had no answer for it. Like I give Jeff Neal a striking advantage, more technical than Buckley, but I mean both dudes sits like they're similar at least in a lot of ways. Is Neal and Buckley? Do you worry about that?
I think Neal's levels above Buckley personally.
All right, yeah.
I'm kind of like a Buckley hater a little bit. I just think these big powerful guys that's not my style. I just don't think that these guys are that great, and I think he's also getting a little bit of recency bias. He had to knock out over a guy with no chin and Filho. And then, I mean, he beat Morono, who Morono's kind of been on a roll here and there, but I've been a Morono hater as well. I picked Morono in that fight. I don't know if I've ever gotten a Morono fight right. Feel like so. I'm not giving Buckley as much credit as other people are for that win. I do think he looks much improved, and now he's in maybe in his correct weight class. But this is a big step up, man, from Morono to Luque. So give me the more proven guy, and I'll fade the power.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I picked Buckley, a very, very small, lean, hardly any lean. It was some of the southpaw. And I mean, Luque's chin was always the best until Neal really got him. And that Neal fight, he took a ton of damage. He took a year off in that fight, brain bleed, stuff like that, knocked down twice, too tough for his own good. I'm going to question his chin moving forward a little bit. Buckley can crack. I'll say he connects at some point, but I do agree. I think the higher ceiling is Luque. Like if it goes to decision, I want Luque in that. If you tell me decision, Luque or nothing in that fight, even a third round knockout from Buckley still might not be enough at 8K because the volume will be on the Luque side more than likely. So I agree with a lot of your points.
And I mean, Buckley has all that power too, and Luque's taken all that damage. But Luque, I mean, Buckley's been knocked out 3 times just in the UFC alone. So like, it's not like I'm even confident in him being the more durable fighter.
I'm not either.
I think Luque could spark him in the first round too.
Yeah.
So Luque can win by any method of victory and score 10x plus in any method of victory. Whereas Buckley, he just had his decision performance of his life. And what he scored? Probably there's no way it was 10x of this current price tag. 73 points. Yeah, I mean, at 73 points, give me 0 Buckley. So
yeah.
I could see that being the case here. It's just knockout or bust. So my maxed ownership would be his knockout line, but I'm sure that's more inflated than I believe it is. So I'll be underweight to that too.
Yeah, his knockout line is plus 255, plus inside the distance prop plus 225.
Yeah, I mean, so that's like 30%. I'll definitely be, I'm for sure underweight to that. So yeah. Man, the more we talk about it, the more I just want to fade Buckley and just hope that the Luque chin lasts. And that's what I did last week, man. I went all in on Carl Williams, completely faded Tafa. I actually fell asleep before the fight happened, but I was like, he's not getting knocked out here. So I haven't even seen the fight, but I woke up. I was like, 8+ takedowns, even outstruck him. Perfect. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, that fight. I actually missed most of that fight. The Edmond fight. I don't know if you saw that. The Dobson Edmond. It didn't last long, but go back and watch it because
that's why I went to bed actually, because I had a lot of Dobson. I was like, oh yeah, he's cruising.
He was cracking him.
I had no Edmond, and so I was like, fuck, I'm going to bed. I'm tired.
Yeah, he was cracking him for sure. One fight left on the card, main event time. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out. Say it a lot, we truly do. Hour 15 talking fights, 14 of them on the card. 7 p.m. Eastern is the lock time. Aaron Blanchfield, Mano Firo. Minus 175 Blanchfield, plus 150 for Firo. This fight minus 125 to finish. Blanchfield plus 150 inside the distance. Firo plus 375. Odds in this one. Blanchfield 8,800, 49% owned. Firo 7,400, 39% owned. You're telling me these odds right there, 50. We got 88% combined ownership on this fight, 12% fade. I think that's my favorite path to go in this fight. If you're telling me 88% of the field have it. Now, I guess why would that be? Blanchfield, a very good DFS player. I mean, she just shot 14 takedowns last fight. She didn't secure any against Santos, but but she still shot 14, which you love to see. The fade can work because Fiorot, when she's fresh, I don't think Blanchfield just going to take her down and just walk over her early. Like, I think it's probably more so later in the fight, maybe here and there. On the feet, I think it's somewhat competitive, but I'm not sure both girls are going to be throwing 6 significant strikes per minute. We're in the bigger octagon. Blanchfield, third round finish. Fiorot, I guess you'd probably need the Blanchfield win. Even a Fiorot decision win could very well be on the optimal. But Blanchfield, third round win, fourth round win, a decision that she doesn't just wrestle a ton, and like a Chidi at 8,600 outscores, or a Malkoun at 9K, et cetera, just outscores. I guess, at this ownership, 88%, I think that'd be over-owned for this fight on a 14-fight card. You have 13 other fights that you can absolutely break the slate, and you could be coming in this one with Blanchfield needing 125, Fiorot needing 80 or whatever it may be, and you're sitting there winning 100K because everyone plays the main event. Now, I guess I'll throw it to you on that note. You can break down this whole fight there, but just winging it on the top of my head after seeing your ownership, that's what stood out to me. 88% of the field versus 12%. I think that's too much. Take it away.
Well, so for me, I'm just completely one-sided on this fight. I bet Blanchfield the other day at like minus 143. I still think that there's value left right now at minus 180. I think any Blanchfield win is going to score well. Whereas Fiorot, like, her ceiling without a head kick knockout early in the fight, her ceiling's probably like 85 points in this matchup, in my opinion. So I might fade Fiorot as my way to get a little different. But at the same time, I might just go 100% Blanchfield. She's my favorite play on this entire card. You got to give Fiorot the striking edge in this one, but not by a lot. And I mean, Blanchfield got some mean head kick knockouts herself. I feel like striking's a bit close in this one, but the ground is not. I think Blanchfield can just mop the floor with Fiorot. And if she wasn't 0 for 14 in takedowns in her last fight, I feel like she should be minus 250 or so in this fight. Like, if she landed just a couple of takedowns in that last fight, because Fiorot coming into MMA, her problem was that she was just only a striker and she had to start working on her ground game, and it's much improved. But is it improved enough to beat what some say the Khabib of WMMA in her home city? Like, the line's not high enough. Give me Blanchfield. I'm going to have 70+% Blanchfield. And maybe if I have 70% Blanchfield, then I'll have a 30% fade. But that's kind of how I'm looking at this. Is Blanchfield will be on my core plays over at shippingnation.com. And then I will for sure be underweight to Fiorot. But right now, I'm in my head, she's getting X'd out of my player pool.
It makes total sense. Blanchfield is by far my preferred play because, Fiorot's upside just doesn't feel – I mean, you need a knockout. Like, she needs the stuff to takedowns. You probably need a knockout. I don't think she's landing like 180 significant strikes in a decision or something like that. Whereas Blanchfield, all the takedown upside, all the control time upside, good inside the distance prop. It's just, I still think 88% is over-owned. I guess you talking through it too, like a Blanchfield second round submission, third round, whatever it may be, has a chance to only score 90 and other people outscore at 8,800. And Fiorot, I guess, at 7,400, even a decision win and she scores 82 isn't a lock to be on the optimal on a 14-fight card. So I guess I feel even better about it because both sides could win and you could see a path not on the optimal. More likely probably on the Fiorot side. But again, a third round submission win could easily score 92. And what did she score against Andrade? Let me pull it up. Because it was what, a third round submission? She dominated 98. That fight. 88?
98.
Yeah, like that's not a lock. Like you feel good about 98, but you definitely feel good about 98. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but that's not a lock.
I would say just looking at sorting by salary, looking at Blanchfield up, I think she has clearly the highest ceiling of everybody there. But I also think if we're giving everybody, projected points in a win, hers has got to be higher than, like, her average is going to be higher than everybody else as well. So that's why I'm thinking just give me 100% Blanchfield because I like her more than every single person priced above her. Not only do I think like her winning odds should be similar to Arce's. And I think that she, like, her her decision and Arce's decision are just going to be way
Night and
different.
day.
Blanchfield has 150 point upside where Arce could score 70 points. I don't think 70 is even possible for Blanchfield to score in a win. And Blanchfield could win 4 rounds, get knocked out in the 5th round, still score 70 plus points. So yeah, I'm more I talk about it, I'm hitting that lock button on Blanchfield. I mean, usually I'm afraid of it, but I'm coming off a week where it worked. It didn't actually work because I didn't even win money last weekend. And I looked at the top lineup. Williams wasn't even on it. Scored 100 points, wasn't even on it. So it didn't work out for me. But this is a week where I just feel like I'm going back to it. 100% Blanchfield.
And that's all. We're not going to talk anymore about it. Big Marley's got a lean. That's what you got right there. Again, ownership, projection, slate plan, fight rankings, everything will be on the site by Friday, like always. We'll be monitoring weigh-ins, line movement for sure. If you have questions, definitely take Big Marley in chat. Again, I will be plenty of drinks deep, watching it in Vegas. Phone not necessarily on me as much. Content will be up, everything though. Big Marley has you covered there. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Again, like button on the way out. Does help us out a ton. Head over to the Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Chippin' Nation. Hit that follow button. 3 more followers. We might be there now to 5,000. Then we're doing the annual giveaway. Shout out to our man, Mark. You can find the description. A couple days ago, it was tweeted out on Twitter. Hit the follow button. Get a chance to get an annual membership. If you're not a member and you do want to join, if you just want MLB, we do have just MLB only. The people asked, we gave it to them monthly, 6 month, or monthly or annual. If you want the whole year, you have an annual package there. If you want it monthly, you can get it for $1 a month in the MLB streets. Otherwise, Hoop 15 will get you MMA, PGA, NASCAR, MLB, of course, NBA throughout the whole year. When football comes back, etc. Hoop 15 gets you 15% off monthly, 6-month annual packages. The weekly is not included with the deal. Also does not come with the Discord, but if you just want to check out what we all have on the site, now is a good week to do it. You can get the MMA, get PGA, get MLB and NBA. So definitely a great week if you want to try us out. Awesome stuff, Big Marley. You have a great weekend. Let's ship something big. Good luck to everybody out there. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Be safe. For Big Marley, I'm Titletown. Good luck.